And we're live here on Facebook, like to welcome those listening in podcast land, and also like to welcome my buddy Rich. Rich, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, Mike. A little tired,
Rich, time out.
because it seemed
I'm
like it's a
sorry. I
little bit
gotta
of a long day.
I
Go
gotta
ahead.
ask.
Uh-huh.
Ty, making me look bad here.
No, no, just that, I just wanted to get started, get our episode on the air, get started recording. So I didn't want to take that extra time to change, as my wife and I just came home from a fundraiser for New City Classical School,
Oh,
which is a private school that our church is kind of founded and partnered with.
okay.
So we were at that fundraiser and we were kind of cutting it close. We had some drinks with the other people from my wife's office after the event and realized we got in the car. It was like, oh, it's up like 9:25,
Yeah,
and when we were open to start at 9:30. So
yeah. I
just
got
wanted to
plenty
get
of.
started,
Mm.
and it's not that big of a deal, and I'm comfortable enough, not
And I mean,
uncomfortable.
again, you look like an old school broadcaster, but you still have all your Cubs stuff
I
and
do,
whatnot in the
I do
background.
have the,
So
the
you're not,
studio tchotchkes.
yeah,
So
you're not fully a an old school broadcaster, because old school broadcasters, you couldn't. Nobody knows that I like this team. You can't do that. I'm sorry if. There's a reason why I do this. It's because I love the sports and I love the teams that I love in the sports. Like,
yeah, it is,
I don't
and the
mind
more
being a
video
homer.
and the more like the casual YouTube content creators. I mean that they're not wearing the shirt and ties. Even on the networks, you have people showing up like in their it's a maybe a collared shirt, but there's no tie or jacket anymore. It's just a collared shirt with the tie unbuttoned, or
Yep.
even some people wearing the t-shirt but with the suit coat on with it to kind of dress it up a little bit.
Yep. Okay. Now,
But Mike, how have you been this week?
I
I've just mentioned it's been a little tired coming back from a holiday weekend. Or
yeah, holiday weekend is always fun, but you know what? Things are starting to slow down at work. I'm starting to get caught
good.
up. I gotta. I still have a couple of projects I would like to work on, but outside of that, I'm actually doing pretty good. So let's go.
All right, Mike. So we got a show, got a show to talk about. We're going to be going into the NASCAR corner and kind of reviewing the last regular season race, which is out at Darlington. And then we have our first playoff race, which also changes how we make our picks from week to week. So
Yeah.
we'll explain that while we're in the NASCAR corner. And Mike, we also got to talk about the Chicago Cubs as wouldn't you say, Mike, that they
They're
might
starting
have
to.
come back down to earth a little bit?
Yeah, but they're also. I mean, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it.
We'll talk
Plus,
about it. Mike, what else?
we have a full week of NFL getting ready. We so this week we're not going to do our power rankings. We're not going to do that this week because it's the first week of the
No.
season. We'll let it like we'll watch the games. We'll watch the highlight reels. We'll do that, and then we'll come back next week with that. But we still have plenty of football to talk about, as well as
Some esports, Mike. I'm sure you
yeah,
gotta talk about what's going on with your esports team.
yeah, all that and more. But let's go ahead and roll the intro. Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa. This is Balls and Sticks, the podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Rich. And we're back. Okay, Rich, before we get into any of it, we have a poll question to talk about. That poll question was the cereal showdown.
That's right. Not the final one, but the second to last one on the in the round of 32 in our breakfast food poll, but the cereal side of the bracket. And we have Honey Smacks and Captain Crunch with Crunch Berries. Mike, I went with Crunch Berries. I don't. I
Yep.
remember eating Honey Smacks as a kid,
Yep.
but using that logic of both cereals are in front of me at the table, I can only choose one. I'm going to go with Captain Crunch with Crunch Berries every single time.
Yeah, me too. I hate honey smacks, but I
I
did.
wouldn't say it. I wouldn't say I hate them, but
I
they're pretty low on my cereal
They're
preference.
disgusting. Let's be honest with ourselves. But I did get some revealing information today that we will share with
Oh,
you. As Crunch
okay.
Berries won 8-2. Those that voted for Crunch Berries are me, Solomon Stroop, Pam Hendricks, Ashley Shreepek, Danielle Hart, Austin Shreepek, Brandon Close, and Rich Hendricks. And this is what gets revealing. I never
hmm
understood why we had these gross things in our house all the time. My mother, Sue Hart, voted for Honey Smacks.
Hmm.
Those things are disgusting. Also, with her voted Josh Couture.
Oh,
I don't even
okay.
understand how these made the second. Rich, you have it. You have access to it fairly quickly. I'm putting you on the spot. What did it go
Okay.
against in the first round, and how did it
Oh,
come out
in the
of the
first
first round?
round, let
Like,
me get that up real quick.
did we put it up against
We put
cardboard?
it up. No, we put it up against Tricks. I think we even talked about this last week in the show. We put it up against Tricks.
I need to find this poll because
Honey Smacks won.
um,
All right, but while you're looking that up, Mike, trying to find it on fans of Balls and Sticks and also our Facebook page, Balls and Sticks the podcast, which is where you can find all of our poll questions. This week's poll question, Mike, we're going to be going. This is our final matchup in the round of 32 in the breakfast entree side of the poll. It's going to be eggs your way versus donuts. Eggs versus donuts. I'll try and get that poll up tomorrow morning,
eggs
so watch
versus
for that to
donuts,
go live.
and we're not specifying what kind of donuts.
No,
That's
nor what type of eggs. So you could go scrambled eggs, poached eggs, sunny side up,
but
hard boiled. It doesn't matter. Eggs.
but my question here goes, uh, didn't at one point in time, like, don't we have like omelets on here and stuff like that?
We do have omelet. The omelet.
So,
Let's-
Rich, real quick, just because
Sure.
I accidentally got all the way back here, um, how long do you think this food poll has been going?
I'm gonna go December of last year.
Uh, no.
No.
Remember, the poll that we had before that was We Are the Champions versus Sweet Caroline in your stadium song bonus. And I don't
Okay.
remember why we did a bonus.
So so
Oh,
what was week one of what? When did we start this?
October 21st. French toast versus grits.
Hmm.
I
Okay.
apparently went way too far back. So I'm still scrolling, but we will move on from there as we, you know.
Well, either way, whether I got it wrong and got the marked the wrong one on our spreadsheet, would you have voted for Trix over Captain Crunch with Crunch Berries, Mike?
No, never.
No.
I mean,
Okay.
not even a.
Either way, either way, neither Syria probably would have made it out of our second round.
No, no. I mean, it's better than, Raisin Bran versus Grape Nuts. By the way, I love me some Raisin Bran, uh, but yeah, I'm shocked. Yeah, you are right. Wow. And I think I had the same reaction. By the way, this poll came out March 17th.
Okay.
7-5.
Honey Smacks.
Honey Smacks. Rich, you actually voted for Honey Smacks back then.
Yeah. Okay. I don't really remember having Tricks that much as a kid, so I remember Honey Smacks.
I don't understand how those things were garbage.
All right, Mike.
Okay.
So thanks for looking that up. So, Mike, do you see what's coming up next? We got to keep this show rolling.
Is it a left turn, Rich?
It is, Mike. And what's after that?
It's another left turn. And why is that, Rich?
Well, because we're going to go into the NASCAR Corner. The NASCAR Corner is presented by Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated in Moline, Illinois, and also you can find them on eBay. Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated. So, Mike, last week we were at the track Too Hard to Tame, the Lady in Black, Darlington.
Man,
for the Cookout Southern 500.
So it wasn't even last Sunday. Or no, was it Sunday?
It was a Sunday night race.
Yeah, I totally forgot about it and fell asleep on the couch or something. I don't remember. I didn't watch it.
Yeah, I started watching the race from the very beginning. They wanted to play bags, so I went outside. We played some cornhole with the nephews, and as well as Karen. I think Karen and Josh and Ashley got involved on cornhole. So we're playing one more game, roasting out. Some people are sitting around the fire, and I think my wife went inside for something. Is like, you're gonna want to come in. It's like they got 26 laps to go, and Chastain's winning the race. Is in front, and
didn't end up that way, bro.
Yeah, it didn't. People started getting wrecks, and because it's the last race before the playoffs, you gotta shoot your shot and see what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So Mike, your race winner was Chase Biscoe, earning his way into the playoffs. Mike, your pick of Kyle Busch came in second. My pick of William Byron came in 30th, as he was involved in one of those late race pileups.
Yeah. And so did I break the curse?
I don't know.
I mean, the curse was that if either of us picks him, he wrecks and does terrible in the race. He got second.
He did. He got second, and it's been a kind of a really good run for Kyle here lately as he's trying to get into the playoffs. I was glad to see that.
He didn't.
He tried, yeah. But, I mean, I was glad to see that he was kind of humble about it and not, you know what, he said, we had the speed, we just needed a couple more laps.
Yeah.
And just couldn't get it done, but we're going to go into the playoffs. And hopefully I can keep my streak alive of winning a race.
By the way,
at least one race per
I will
year.
I will tell you, Kyle Busch is a dangerous man to be around but he's going to be dangerous in the playoffs. He has nothing to lose. A win gets him a win is all he cares about now. Not getting a championship.
Stage points won't matter to him anymore.
Stage points don't matter. His strategy for winning a race has completely changed as of this week. Because now all he cares about is winning. Before, you had to say, well, I mean, think about one of these, if we get into one of these fuel economy races. If he can stretch it, if he doesn't win, it doesn't hurt him any. If he ends up running out of gas on the last lap and finishing 28th,
yeah, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Or because he doesn't care about stage points, he could pit before
he'll
pits. He could short pit it and pit before the before on the last lap before the pit road closes and flip the stage.
100%. His strategy from here to the end of the season is all about winning one race. I know that you think, well, wouldn't he want us to win the race? Yeah, he wanted to win the race back then, but here's the deal. None of the other, like, at the time, he was still competing for points. He doesn't care about points. The only points he cares about right now, maybe, would be ownership points.
But even Richard Childress, I don't think Richard Childress Racing is nowhere near the top for the owners' championship. RCR would not be, maybe manufacturer points, but maybe points for the manufacturers.
Yeah, but even that I don't think is that big of a deal.
I don't think it is either.
RCR is currently RCR is not even in the top 10. How is that?
Yeah, because it isn't like
Hendricks, Gibbs, 2311. Oh, that's not. No, that's not how that works. Okay. This is really. That's not laid out right.
Let me see what I can find here. Standings.
Yeah, you go to standings and you hit owner, and owner just does.
Yeah, it does. It lists the individual drivers, not the.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean the only thing that maybe you could say he's racing for would be for manufacturer points, and really does the driver really care about the manufacturer?
And
not really. I would assume that they really don't.
Most of okay. Yeah, I don't think RCR cares. They only have a few cars. They're not gonna. There ain't no reason to. Yeah.
All right. So, your regular season points champion was Tyler Reddick of 2311. So yeah, good on for Denny and Michael Jordan getting a big win for their race team. So maybe it's not just Michael Jordan, Air Jordan collectible shoes and Denny Hamlin trophies at the 2311 race shop. So good that they actually earned one as their team.
Yep. Rich, speaking of regular season, I did win the regular season 17-14. So chalk that one up for me this year. But this is where coming back is very easy to do. We both pick two drivers when it comes to the playoffs. You get a playoff driver and a non-playoff driver. Mm-hmm. Rich, every year, one of us has a pretty decent lead going into the playoffs, and by the end of the playoffs, it generally has flipped. So congratulations, you won this year on our overall standings.
Not necessarily. Yeah, on the.
I mean, if we go off of the history, that's basically what that means. But who knows?
All right. So as Mike was saying, for the playoff races, we pick one playoff driver and one non-playoff driver. We will get a point for how those two drivers finish. In the odd event that if one of our drivers wins the race, we also pick up a bonus point. So we have a chance to score up to 3 points.
Proposed bonus point number 2.
Week. Okay.
If your guys finish 1-2, you get a second bonus point.
Okay, so there's a potential for 4.
Now,
4 points.
You have to pick first and second overall. That's going to be really hard to do. But if you do it, you get 4 points.
I think I did it last year. I could have swore I had it happen once last year.
I think you did. But I think I proposed that, and you said, no, it's not in the rules. It's not fair. I said, well, that's fine, but I would give you that extra point. Now we officially have it in the rules.
Yep, it's officially.
It's official. So if that happens, you get those 2 bonus points.
All right, Mike. So with a 17-14 lead going into the playoffs, you will get to pick both your playoff driver and your non-playoff driver. First, moving forward, we will do it as whoever playoff driver finishes higher will get the first pick, and whoever non-playoff driver finishes higher gets the first pick.
Okay.
Of those drivers, even though we do it off air.
So, I'm going to pick Martin Truex Jr. Has to have a win in this first round. There's no real ifs, ands, or buts about it. If he doesn't get a win, he's not going to make it into the second round. I mean, that's not 100% true, but he's so far, he's in last place, I want to say, in total points, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, with points, without having that win, I believe he is second to last. I think Ty Gibbs got in on the last playoff spot.
Yeah, so
so I don't mind it. I think Truex could do just as well at Watkins Glen and
Martin
Bristol,
Truex Jr. and Ty Gibbs are tied.
They're tied. Okay.
For being cut. The last 2, they are 16 and 15. So
yeah, I think the first round of the playoffs being this one in Atlanta, a super speedway, a road course up in Watkins Glen, and then going to the Coliseum at Bristol for the last race. I could see Truex doing pretty well in this round of the playoffs, given the 3 tracks. But yes, you're correct. He's got to get a win so he's not straddling that cut line going into Bristol.
Yep.
So, Mike, who's your non-playoff driver?
Non-playoff driver? I said it earlier. Look out for the most dangerous man in NASCAR, the man who wants to keep his streak alive. 19 seasons and counting. Kyle Busch.
All right. So for my playoff driver, I'm going to go with Ryan Blaney.
Okay.
Normally runs pretty well here in Atlanta.
Super Speedway, everybody runs well.
And for my non-playoff driver, I'm going to go Michael McDowell.
Ooh, I like it. He loves
the super speedways.
He loves super speedways. Loves super speedways. Look out for him. He's going to do great. Yeah. Okay. Rich, anything else in the NASCAR corner before we peel off?
let's give a fantasy NASCAR update real quick.
Okay.
All right. So overall standings now going into playoffs. The new Dupo is in third place with 41.42. Mike, you're the man in the middle with 42.03. And I am way ahead in overall points with 48.28.
Yeah, congratulations on
the
winning.
regular season.
I think you're going to win that handily.
But, however, Mike, the playoffs, everybody starts at 0.
Oh, do they?
Everybody is at 0 for the playoffs. The playoffs have their own standing, so everybody is at 0 going into Atlanta. So Solomon, if you follow our show, make sure to set your playoff roster, and even though nobody else is playing fantasy NASCAR with us besides outside of Solomon, with the fantasy NASCAR, you are down to your usage on drivers resets, but you are only allowed to use a driver 5 times.
Yeah.
Throughout the playoffs, so choose wisely. But Mike, they did say that this year, that for the championship race, the playoff drivers, if you choose to use them, will still count for stage points. In previous years, on the last race, you did not get the stage points as extra points.
Okay.
So good to know. So Mike, you can catch that race over on USA, and I believe it's a Sunday afternoon race. So you'll probably be following that on your phone, probably, because I think you.
I have USA.
While I'm going to be watching the race, I'm thinking you're probably going to be watching football if you have a chance.
Oh yeah, that's true. I have 2 TVs that I can put on.
Oh, okay.
I have 2 TVs. It'll be good. I can have both.
I don't know if I can get a multi-view through YouTube TV to put the race on and the football and one or two and
I
both the
think
football
you
games at
can,
the
but I
same
don't
time.
know if you can get NASCAR and the football game. I think they.
Yeah, I know I can get the football games,
Yeah.
but I don't think I can do the NASCAR race with the football
Nope. I
games.
have 2 TVs. If I need to, I can bring another TV out and have 3 TVs. I have plenty of TVs just around that I can use.
All right, Mike. Anything else in the NASCAR corner?
I believe that's it. And with that,
Oh,
this has been the NASCAR Corner, presented as always by Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated, Moline, Illinois. Check them out for all your sports memorabilia needs, either on their eBay store or in person at 5th Avenue in Moline. Once again, that is Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated for all your sports memorabilia needs. Okay, let's keep making left turns, head to the dirt, and talk about the MLB. MLB is the Cubs played 3 against the Nationals, 3 against the Pirates, and 1 against the Yankees, which included the welcome home for Anthony Rizzo. Love that the Cubs
yes.
did take a mound visit timeout, I believe, to give him the extra time, if I remember correctly. Because
Yeah, they
he got
did
a nice
something
long
so that
he got a
so
nice
that
long standing O. It was great.
yeah, and they played his familiar
Walk up.
walk-up song when he was
Yeah.
with the Cubs
Yeah.
as
I
well. So that was fun to hear when
I
he
didn't
came
cr-
up the bat.
I didn't cry, you cried, Rich. I didn't cry, you cried. You're crying,
Mm.
not me. It was that was definitely an emotional watch. Did you also see the other welcome home that he got this year or this weekend?
I did not. What was that?
Him and Ian Happ getting to say hi to each other, and they said hi by a nice solid hug. So
Yeah, so kind of an uneven week for the Cubs as they took care of business in our nation's capital by sweeping a really bad Nationals team, but then they come home to Chicago and they drop 2 out of 3 with the Pirates.
yeah.
It did include a combined no hitter for the final game of that series against the Bucks.
Yeah, so again, do we have to talk about it? I don't count it as a no-hitter.
No, I'm just saying that at least that somewhat salvaged this season, salvaged that series instead of it being a sweep.
Yeah, I mean it did.
All right, Mike. So they went 4-3 during the week. You got it correctly, as I said they get 5 wins. I thought they could. I was really banking on 2 out of 3 with the Pirates. I figure I think I said they were gonna sweep. I was gonna get those 3 wins out of the Nats, but
Yeah.
the Bucks just disappointed. So Mike, with it, they're still over 500 as they're 72-69 overall, making them 9 games back in the division, which I think is out of reach at this point, and 5 games back of a wild card.
Yeah. They are playing really well. I think I said at the beginning of the year that they're going to play, and I think I put them in the playoffs. I think.
I believe you did, Mike.
And at this point, they are still playing close to playoff ability, and 5 games back right now is not that big of a. That's not that hard to overcome. I truly think that the Cubs could make that happen.
I mean, especially once they get through this week.
Yeah.
Once they get through this week, Mike, their remaining schedule. Let me read this off to you. Let me get that up. My apologies. So this week, Mike, we'll go and give our number, and then we'll look forward into the schedule, Mike.
Okay.
So this week they have to play the Yankees for 2 games. Then they're going to head all the way out to LA to take on the Dodgers for 3 games. They get an off day on Thursday. And then on their way back to Chicago, they have a 3-day layover in Denver to take on the Rockies. But we're only going to be doing one of those 3 games because we'll be recording sometime on Saturday night. So we're not sure whether their Saturday night's game will be final by the time we go on air. So we are not going to account for Saturday's game from week to week.
Yeah, okay. So the Yankees are good. And by the way, the Dodgers are really good. I think I got to give them 2, Rich. Like, I don't see... I don't see them winning any more than 2 games at this point. So
Okay, that's fair. I'm going to give them 3.
Okay.
I'm going to give them that game in Denver. And I'm hoping between those 5 games against the Yankees and Dodgers that they can get 2 wins out of those. Two out of those 5 games.
I think they should be able to. I just don't know. Like, I don't know that they will. That's the hard part.
So, Mike, once we get finished with the Yankees and the Dodgers, we get the Colorado Rockies, who have the worst division in the West. We come home, and we face the Oakland A's, who have one of the worst records in the entire league. And then we get to face the Washington Nationals again for 4 games. So even though this upcoming week is really tough, if we can come out of it and hopefully the teams above us in the wild card, the Braves and the Mets, do just as bad, maybe we're still 5 games back once we start that week playing Colorado, Oakland, and Washington.
Yeah.
And then we end the season going out to Philly, where Philly could be getting in that mood where they're maybe starting to rest some stars because they've locked up their playoff position. So maybe they're going to be a little bit more conservative with their pitchers to get them ready for the postseason. And then we face the Reds to end out the season at home.
Okay.
So it's a doable. There's some easy, in theory, easy teams that we're going up against to close the season.
We literally just talked about the rest of the season.
We did.
I'm not ready for baseball season to be over. I kind of...
Well...
I really hope.
That's why I'm hoping that
they can make the playoffs.
They can do just enough to make the wild card, because that's 3 more games, Mike.
Yeah.
2 more games, maybe 3, if they're in that wild card game.
Man, Yep.
Wouldn't it be wild? Wouldn't it be wild if that wild card game is in Milwaukee?
By the way, speaking of, I had this discussion today.
Okay.
Is there a scarier team than the Cubs in the playoffs? In a 3-game series, I think the Cubs can pull off a 3-game series against just about anybody. Now, other than the Dodgers, I would say probably.
I don't know if I go that far, but right now, if we get the third wild card,
but they're getting healthy.
They are. Well, we just did put the Man of Steel on the IR, but he's
on the 10-day.
He could just be there. He could be back within 10 days.
Or is it the 7-day? I don't remember if he's
one of those two. But he could be back within 7 to 10 days. It just with the Cubs not having secured a division spot, you can't.
Yeah.
If you need Shota Imanaga to pitch the last game of the regular season because it's his spot up on the rotation and you need a win.
Yep.
That means Shota's not going to get the pitch until potentially game 3, which may not even get played, depending on how the first 2 games of that wild card go.
Which really sucks because then he's not pitching the first game of the 5-game series.
Yep, because he'd have to go in game game 3, the potential tiebreaker game.
He might do game 2, depending on how rest and all that plays out. So he could play 2 and 5, potentially.
But more than likely, it's going to be 3, and maybe 3, and he pitches once in the division round. That's if they make it out of the wild card. So right now, if the Cubs can get that last wild card spot, because Philly and New York hold Philly and LA hold the first 2 spots, that means that they go to the highest finishing division winner, and that would be the Milwaukee Brewers. So you have a 3-game wild card series at American Family Field.
Yeah, we could do that.
Which Cubs fans are known to get.
We could do that.
To go up and make that trip.
We can do that. I believe. But I also understand what you're saying. Yeah, it's going to be... I would love to see it happen. I don't know that it will, but, man...
I'll be rooting for it. By all means, when we have the playoff bracket set and we hopefully make our predictions, I would probably say, I'd probably make a homer pick and say Cubs are going to take that wild card series.
Yeah.
And then take my chances with what's going to happen in the next round when they probably have to face Philly or the Dodgers.
Yeah.
But we got another week of baseball, so we'll see. We'll be talking about baseball again next week to see how this rough patch goes for the Cubs facing the Yankees and the Dodgers. So, Mike, are you ready for some football?
Yeah. A Friday night party.
Yeah.
By the way, I didn't even know
this. Only if you
this.
have Peacock. But only if you have Peacock.
Did you know? Gonna blow your mind. Did you know that there is actually a law against professional football games being played after the second week of September?
No, I did not.
Yep. You cannot play a game on Friday night after the second week of September through the end of the year, I believe.
Then how do they get a Black Friday game?
I think that's a holiday game that they're allowed or something. Like, it's something weird. But basically, that's why the NFL doesn't have Friday night football. Because the government said no.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
So, Mike, we had 2 football games that went final. The Brazil game did. We do have a final score in that game, so we can count that towards our win-loss total for Thursday night football. So Thursday night football opening game, the Ravens and the Chiefs. I went with the Ravens. You went with the Chiefs.
I went with the Chiefs.
Pulled off. Yep, the Chiefs pulled off a 27-20 victory, but that game came down to the wire.
Let's truly talk about that. The Ravens lost by a toe. It was a toe. The Ravens lost that game. The Chiefs didn't win that game.
I would almost say that they lost it by almost like maybe like if he wasn't wearing shoes, that'd be making it look. They lost by a toenail.
Yeah.
Not a toe, a toenail.
Yeah, it was dang close. But I think they made the right call. Great game. Fun to watch. Love having football back. Yeah. And then tonight,
so, yeah,
the Eagles.
That was a great game.
Yep.
I agree. They made the right call. But even though it's coming from a biased point of view, because I was rooting for the Ravens in this game, I wouldn't have been upset if they would have upheld the call.
I'm trying to look at it unbiasedly. I think the call was the right call. But do I think that the call... I think there was enough video evidence. I think if it would have been 10 years ago and we didn't have this ultra 5,000 pixel, 1 billion pixels worth of data that we can analyze, and it would have been in non HD. By the way, they win. How about that? How about I say in non HD, it's at least a tie game.
Yeah. What do you think of Patrick Mahomes' comment about it? Of close game, should have worn wider shoes. It's a clever comment of
it is
have worn wider shoes.
Yeah. I mean it is. You do what you do. I think it.
Yeah.
You take a win where you take a win. So that made me 1-0 on the season, and you 0-1 on the season for Thursday night games. But tonight, Rich, Eagles played the Packers. I picked the Packers, and you picked the Eagles. The Eagles pulled it out 34-29. Was that in overtime, or was it?
No, it was was in regulation. That game was in Brazil.
Do we want to talk about this?
I think a little bit. A little bit.
We had an Olympics there, what, 3 or 4 years ago? Yep. Maybe 6 years ago. I don't know.
But that was in Rio de Janeiro, not Sao Paulo.
But again, we tell people, like, they told the athletes, don't go anywhere except for on official vehicles. Don't do any of this stuff. They're telling the same thing to these guys. You're talking about NFL linemen being told, don't walk out of the building without an armed security guard. You get on the bus to go to the thing. That's it. I guarantee you the game probably got over in the last 20 minutes. I guarantee you that those guys are changing, showering, and going directly to the airplane because they don't want to be there any longer. One, the air quality was said to be unhealthy. The air quality was in unhealthy levels where they were telling people don't go outside. The game's outside. The water had been previously, and I don't know if they got it taken care of, but previously they had been told, don't drink the water. One of the biggest things you gotta worry about in NFL is cramping. And if you can't drink the water, how do you battle that? Dehydration is huge. Oh, that's terrible. Everything about it is terrible. This game should not have happened in Brazil. Brazil doesn't. You want to go somewhere else. The hard part is, I know that you want to expand, and I know that you want to expand to South America, and there is plenty of ripe market to go. But when you're being told that it is not safe for your fans, Packers fans, it is not safe for you to come to this game because we're afraid you will be targeted. Eagles fans, don't come to this game, you may be targeted. I know why the NFL wants to do it. Because they want to make more money. They want to expand out. Blah, blah, blah. I get that. But don't we have to worry about... Like we talk about, we care about player safety when it comes to on the field. Why not off the field? Rich, I'm not okay with this. I don't think it's a good look.
Yeah, I was kind of scratching my head when I heard that they were gonna stage a game in Brazil too. I didn't get
Mexico City makes sense.
I didn't get, and they do an annual game in Mexico City. And the other neutral site games are 2 games in London, and I think they do a game in Germany. And I mean, because they had like the NFL Europe, and there are plenty of military service members in England and Germany, that that makes sense to go to there. There's fans there. I don't know if there are any NFL fans in South America yet.
And again, you can't. You got there's a chicken and the egg question. How do you get fans? By showing it. Well, why do you show it? Because we have fans.
Yeah, we've probably talked about it one of these weeks, where eventually they're going to go to an 18 game schedule.
Oh yeah.
And why not make that 18th game? Everybody has to play a neutral site game.
Yeah.
Whether that's overseas, whether that's maybe in a college town, in your region, or region or territory, play a neutral site game. So, is that going to be more games in Europe? Are we going to go to France for a game? Are we going to go to Belgium or Spain for games? Maybe, but I just don't see the point in going to South America yet.
I get it. They need to. They need to have. They want to expand. They're ripe for expansion. However, I have a hard time when we talk about, like, how expensive was it to get into this? I genuinely don't know. How expensive was it to get into this game?
I don't know, but what I do know is that at least you had home teams offering like travel packages to the games in England and Germany.
Yep.
And you're saying that they were telling fans and family members, don't come. You had players coming out and saying, sit this one out, stay home.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna be going to the hotel and the field. Nothing in between.
Yeah.
Stay home.
And that's fine, but I don't know.
So, did you hear about the gap in travel to and from the stadium between the two teams?
No.
The Eagles were designated as the home team. Their hotel was a half hour away from the stadium. The Packers, with traffic factored in, were an hour and a half to 2 hours away from the stadium, since they were the designated road team for this matchup.
So they basically could have stayed in the Quad Cities and drove to Soldier Field.
Yeah, that would be the equivalent, putting it in our terms, of staying in the Quad Cities to commute up to Chicago for a game. Yes.
And you're telling me now, you said with traffic. I mean, here in the States, and again, I'm not saying I agree with it, but here in the States, most of these teams get a police escort. So if they got a police escort all the way from the Quad Cities to there, they could probably make it in an hour.
Yeah, I'm sure that they had a police escort, and that probably doesn't include, maybe that hour and a half to 2 hour travel time also included the times that they had to go to the stadium for practice.
Yeah.
As well. So that's a lot of extra travel for the Packers, and I'm with you. I'm sure that they're not spending the night in the hotel. It wouldn't surprise me if they're boarding the plane and going back home after this game.
Yeah, they have to. I mean, you do normally after a game, but on a game like this, I guarantee you there's an equipment plane and then there's a actual team plane, and they're not even waiting. Like, I wouldn't.
All right, so I'm sure there'll be more news to come out of this game now that we have a final score. But we're recording the show, so we can't necessarily look up what the players had to say about the games, and because the game was exclusively on Peacock,
Neither one of us watched
Neither
it.
of us watched it.
Yeah.
Neither of us could watch it to see what the broadcasters had to say about the game and all the fluff pregame pieces about the first matchup in South America. So, Mike, we're going to move forward to our regular season coverage, Mike. So every week on the show, we're going to pick the outcome of the Bears game. We're going to give you a lock of the week, an upset special, and we will always give you the pick for the Thursday night game. Because we pick the Bears every week, they are ineligible to be selected as a lock of the week or an upset special.
Also note that any special games like Thursday night games and or if there's Black Friday games, stuff like that, those are also ineligible for us to put on as our lock or upset of the week. With that being said, Rich, at noon on Sunday, our Chicago Bears play the Tennessee Titans. Who do you have?
I'm going to go with the Chicago Bears in this one. I kind of like where the Titans are, how the Titans have built their team. But I think they still got a lot to learn and get used to that new offense that Brian Callahan's going to bring over from the Bengals. And yeah, I like the Bears upside a little bit more. So I'm going to go with the Bears.
Yeah, it's home versus the Titans, which I think helps too. I'm picking the Bears. I'm hot on the team. I'm not on the coach.
Okay.
So,
is there anything? I guess. What do the Bears have to do to get you to take Eberflus off of the hot seat, in your opinion?
I mean,
is it win a playoff game, make the playoffs, come close to making the playoffs?
No, close to. They have to make the playoffs. Period.
Okay.
Period. If they don't make the playoffs, he needs to be gone. But, and that's a little, it's a little tough for me to say. But I would also argue, and this is where I might be a little crazy in it, but I think in press conferences, I think he needs to take ownership of the team. That's it. Because Rich, we sat in press conferences. You sat watching press conferences last year where he legitimately said that he is not in charge of the quarterbacks. He talked about, so he needs to take ownership. He's the head coach. The buck stops with him. I don't care. Yes, you have an offensive coordinator. That doesn't mean you don't know what's going on with your quarterback. Him taking ownership of the team and then performance. So they have to make the playoffs, but even making the playoffs doesn't necessarily do it all the way for me. They would have. Okay. He has to take ownership of the team. He has to admit that the buck stops with him, and if he's just going to write off, because here's the problem: we're talking about a guy that potentially is a $100 million quarterback, right? Mm-hmm. Likely going to be a $100 million quarterback. Probably going to be I mean, if he's as good as everybody says he is, and he's worth everything, he's going to be a near $500 million over 8 years type guy. Because by the time his contract's up, we'll be past the $60 million a year, right?
More than likely, yeah.
So theoretically, he would be in line to make something like $500 million, $500 million over 8 years. You're talking about that big of an investment, and you as the head coach are not going to take ownership of that? I'm sorry. That's the wrong attitude. So that's what has to happen.
Okay, I was just curious. I wasn't expecting as much of
Sorry,
a
that's
soapbox answer that I got, but
yeah. Okay,
sometimes I walk myself into those.
Rich,
All right, Mike.
we have
So
determined that you have odd weeks. It's an odd week. It's week 1. You get the locks of the week. What's your lock of the week?
my lock of the week is I'm going to take the Bengals over the Patriots. I'm not sure. I've heard that T. Higgins, their wide receiver 2, is dealing with an injury. Jamar Chase has just got out of ended his hold in, so I don't know if how game ready he's going to be. But the Patriots are just a rebuilding team,
Yeah.
so I think as long as they got Joe Burrow under center, they'll win this game.
Yep, I totally agree. So I like that pick. I'm going to take Bills over the Cardinals. It's in Buffalo, but even if it was in Arizona, I don't have a problem with that. I think Buffalo's the better team here by far and away.
All right, lock of the week. I know I had one matchup when we were deciding
Oh,
teams.
were we doing upset?
Oh yeah,
I
yeah,
thought you
an
just
upset of
did.
the week.
I thought we just talked about. Okay. Woo.
I put it in the wrong spot.
Okay.
So yeah, but my lock of the week will be Bengals over the Pats.
Yeah. Okay.
My upset of the
special.
week. I'm gonna change it, Mike.
Okay, tell the people. Man, don't.
I originally was gonna go with the Browns over the Cowboys because I really like the Browns defense, but Dallas also has a good defense, and so when you got two good defenses going up against each other, then it comes down to the offense, and Dallas's offense, even though they don't have a running game, is better than the Browns offense. So I'm going to scrap it, and I'm going to go with a different matchup, Mike.
Okay.
And I'm going to go with a gut feeling. I see the matchup, and I'm going to go with it. I'm going to go with the Raiders beating the Chargers.
I don't like you right now, Rich. Now I have to look, and I have to decide whether I hate a team so much that I refuse to give them a win, or if I want to beat you bad enough in this weekly pick that I take something that I think is almost a guarantee.
Yeah. So in my pick'em, I'm still gonna go with the Browns, but I'm gonna go with this one for our show upset special. I'm still not sold on what I think. I like what Harbaugh is doing, in building up through the trenches and wanting to run the ball, but his running backs right now are a 6th-round rookie and two guys that are injury prone in Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you on that.
And they shipped off their two best wide receivers in Keenan Allen and Mike Williams in the offseason. So Herbert's got no one to throw to.
Man, I'm gonna stick with it.
All right, so Mike, what is your upset of the week?
I don't know that I'm gonna be alive by the end of the weekend.
That's all right. We're not sure how many people actually listen to this, so the people that would probably care about this probably won't know that you made this pick.
Giants over the Vikings.
Ooh, okay.
Vikings have not only have they gotten worse by losing their what should have been their franchise quarterback that they couldn't lock up, but their who they're starting is not who they planned on starting, and they have gotten worse over the offseason. Vikings are a terrible team. I hate saying it because I love the people, but it's going to be a bad year for them. Rich, with that next week, Finns, Buffalo, who you got?
I'm going to take the Dolphins in this one.
Okay, me too.
Yep. I like the Bills, but I still need to see what that offense is going to look like with a young receiving core, and
yeah,
and you still got
concussion
Josh
protocol.
Allen under center.
But you still got concussion protocol to think about.
You do. Tua could be knocked out easily.
I'm so scared of that. Okay, Rich, any other football talk before we head into our shout-outs for the week?
I do not. Oh, actually, Mike, even though we've had 2 NFL games already go final, there's still time to join our NFL Pick'em Challenge. So
Yep.
look for the link on that on our social media pages through Facebook.
Rich and I only have 1 win each. 1 pick each.
Yep.
So
So there's still time to join. If you join, we'll make sure to give a weekly shout out. If it's just the 2 of us, we're probably only gonna use the Yahoo app, reference it when making our locks and upsets.
yeah, and I like doing it. I actually really enjoy the locks and the pick'em. I think the pick'em's the better way to, like, I think that is the superior fantasy sport because it's easiest.
Yep. And are you wanting to do power rankings for next week's show, or do you want 2 games? Or do you want to go 2 games before we do a power ranking?
We'll plan on doing power rankings next week, but if we don't get it done, we don't get it done.
Very well. I just need to know how to plan.
Okay.
So I can try to have that ready before we go on the air. So, Mike.
Quick hits before we get into shout-outs. Esports is having we're actually going to kick off the season, and I think we're going to do it annually. This is the first, hopefully, of an annual thing where we have a esports tournament at Okoboji. We're hosting it at the middle school next Saturday. We're going to have, hopefully, 6 whole teams coming, and if it comes down to it, we should hopefully make that happen next week. So, yeah. Other than that, we have a team, and it's gonna be fun. So
yeah, and it's Super Smash Brothers.
Yep, Smash Brothers right now.
Smash Brothers is the first esports season.
Okay.
Esport game.
And Rich, with that, do you have any shout-outs for the week?
I do. I got to wish a happy birthday to my nephew Elias Malloy and also his dad, Mark, as they both have birthdays today. There are our cousins that live down in Texas.
Yeah. So I have one. We actually both have one other shout-out. Happy anniversary to Eli and Jennifer Kincaid. Their anniversary was this week, so love, and it's been, man, 14 years, I think. Man, can you believe it's been that long, Rich?
Yeah.
I mean, because you're right behind them, aren't you?
Yeah, we were right behind them.
So, yeah. Okay, with that, Rich, what's the time to do?
Mike, let's go ahead and roll the outro.
Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa. This is Balls and Sticks, the podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Rich.